I am here with Anne Sheybani, so smart, Harvard trained, has worked on so many incredible projects, and really is the brains behind how you can have a business growth engine that gets you a never-ending stream of new business in some very counterintuitive and exciting ways. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of the different tactics and tools that she uses to get you a business growth engine that you can do yourself. And you can always talk to her some more if you want to find out more about how she does it with her clients.
The whole key to writing a book that gets read from cover to cover and that gets the reader so excited is, how do you pull pieces of that book while you're writing it and pop that onto social media, or pop that into a newsletter, or pop that onto a podcast interview, and put ideas out there, put those content chunks out there, and begin to develop an audience so that by the time the book comes out, it takes time to write it and then publish it. By the time the book comes out, you've already got those ready-made, the audience members, purchasers of your book, raving fans.
You have a platform.
You've
built yourself a platform. What are the biggest mistakes you see people making when it comes to trying to use a book as a business growth engine?
Yeah, I would always say that I'm surprised by people's inability to choose. And like, we're all guilty of wanting to put everything into one container because we know how valuable all the pieces are. We know that a concept is an 8-headed hydra. And we want to get this head in and we want to get that head in. And what we create is what I call an MBA in a box. And there's nothing more snore-inducing than finding yourself 15 pages in, or, looking at the table of contents and realizing you could be, at Kellogg's in Chicago doing your MBA or read this book. That's not valuable to people. Like, our job is to curate content, to create this reader journey, to think in terms of not what we want to give people, but what somebody who is experiencing this situation would actually want in order to get this outcome. Because we're required to curate our content, it requires us to continually choose. And I keep saying to myself, I just want to go to dinner with an author, and I want the waiter to come over with a menu, and I want to witness how that person chooses their entree. And if they can't choose their entree, and they're back and forth asking the waiter or waitress, what would you choose and why? And then they take the order, and then the waitress comes back, I've changed my mind. Then it's like, oh, we're gonna have a ride, man, because
it's a thousand choices. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is 1,000 choices
on your own stuff. Well, my other thing that you said, you can't put absolutely everything in there. It's like people want to put 4 hours of material into a 1-hour keynote. It's the same thing with the book. And the other thing is that they always want to write them really fast, and they want to pack everything into one, tome, 800-page, like Harry Potter or War and Peace size book. That isn't really smart. You lose your license to go say, hey, I'd love to quote you in this book to some potential client that you've been trying to find an excuse to talk to for a while. You lose your license to go research certain companies when the book is done. So writing it too fast doesn't actually really help you. And then if you pack too much into it, maybe you want to have, like the guerrilla selling guys, I worked with them 26 million books later. They have guerrilla selling everything. I mean, it doesn't have to be the only book you ever write. There's, 8,000 things they want to pack in there. So your ability to choose quickly what goes in this book and what could wait till the next book, that also goes back to, I want this to be a growth engine for my business, because of the fact that a lot of those decisions, will this make people understand why they should do business with us? Or will this piece or story or example or exercise just be for my own vanity? I think having that litmus test of, does this both handle my noble goal, and is that clear and succinct? And does this also handle the 1, 2, or maybe 3 business goals that you have? And everything that doesn't fit with the goal for this particular book, and it doesn't fit for your own business goals, really should go either into the next book or some blog.
the one comment that you said in passing about people wanting to get it done fast, right? And it's a major stressor for people. Like a lot of folks are coming off of some event where they immediately see that they have to get into action right now because there are other people writing on a book subject. And they're immediately saying, I need to do this right now, which creates enormous stress and for everybody involved. So I understand the impulse to want to get things done fast. So I got
Sure.
hired by somebody to fly out to New Jersey, and they were running a probably a $20 million online business. And it was two business partners, and they wanted to hire me to come in on a weekend and pound out this book. And at the
Wow.
I didn't realize that they wanted me to like write this book, but they had this expectation with 3 days, three of us were going to sit in a room and write this book from thin air. And they were so accustomed to coming up with course material and creating courses, the two of them, and
Okay.
doing it that quickly that they had no understanding that to write a book requires a whole different, kind of ball game.
It's layers and layers and layers. It's like
Layers and layers and
it's
layers and
bits and pieces
understanding.
and drafts, and you have two people, so then they have to agree with each other, and then you
Yeah.
have to sit with certain pieces of it for a while and see if it really goes with the rest of it. And then again, if you just want to, get a book done that's terrible, you could do that in 3 days. Like
Yes.
AI will help you. You could write
Right.
something awful in no time. But it's that the difference between, is it going to be going with your noble goal for the book? What's the highest and best thing that could happen from writing this book that would help people? And how are we going to market this book? That's the second piece that most people don't think about. And then while we're marketing it, how are we going to get other business goals? That's what we tend to
Yeah.
do more
So
on.
much strategy, so much strategy
Yeah, there's just
involved.
a huge amount of strategy that goes before you even put, figurative pen to paper. Okay,
Yeah.
so then what happens? So you have these people, they're used to instructional design. They're used to, hey, we'll bang a course or something structured like that. Oh, no problem. In 3 days, the three of us can create an entire book that's got legs and that people would want to
Yes.
read, and will also get us business, and will also get the noble goal and all that in 3 days.
Right. It didn't
Not
work very well. We all
yeah.
decided that they were looking for quick income fast and that building a course because they already had the platform for
Yeah.
courses, that was the easiest way to get the ideas out there to build the course first and then
Yeah.
determine whether or not building a book after that was going to make sense. And they decided not to because
That
they
makes
came
sense.
face to face with what's actually involved with writing a book.
Yeah.
And they were so used to moving so quickly. And if you're a business owner, you created your own business, you make things happen, you operate quickly. Yes, there are decisions that take a while to make, but you're used to that fast pace. Sometimes it's not instantaneous. Like we're sold all the time, write a book in a weekend. And to write something
Yeah.
that gets read beyond page 12 and beyond, what is this human being trying to do? That,
And a book that's going to make you and your company look good, not just I wrote a book. You're going to live or die by the title. You're going to live or die by that first chapter. You're going to live or die by what the chapter titles are called. Do they sound boring? Would somebody want to hire you to come in and speak because it sounds so interesting? So it's a strategy for, again, being a business growth engine, which you and I both believe in, versus I wrote a book, aren't I adorable? Again, why are you writing a book? What do you want the
yeah,
book to do for you, for your business, and for the world? And if you can't answer all of that, slow down and figure it out. Because nowadays there are thousands of other ways to disseminate information. And books typically aren't highly profitable, but what they are is an amazing vehicle to other things. And they do allow you to have all of this content, create a platform, create some buzz. People can't wait for the digital version to come out, and then the softback version, and then the hardback version, and then maybe you're doing an audio version. And then you have a podcast that came out of that. And every single one of those points, you can ask people to put a quote on the back of the book. You can quote them in the book. You can have, that they were really interesting. You love them. They love you. Be on my podcast. Suddenly you have reasons to talk to people other than buy my stuff or buy our service.
shebang,
And
right? Yeah.
yeah, and again, it forces you to clarify, why do people do business with you? Why is what you do a benefit to others or to the world. And what is that benefit? You've got this telephone experience of someone told someone about you, and they end up back with you. That is a weird thing that you don't even realize is happening. And that if they can't attach it to that brand, which can be a book, they are going to have a hard time with all these great things about you, like a suitcase with no zipper and no handle. You got to give them a handle to give to somebody else, to give to somebody else, to give to somebody else. But that means that you can use your book as a way to telegraph that to people. And what's in it can give them stories that they remember forever. All of a sudden they were, 814% more productive. It's like,
Yeah.
wow. So, but those sorts of stories, people are going to remember that a lot more than if you say, we can make people so much more effective and we can make your operations awesome. Those
Platitudes
stories.
don't work. Platitudes don't.
So what does work? Okay, so we know some of the things that you shouldn't do. Don't try to write your book in a weekend. That's clearly not healthy. And it's not good from a marketing standpoint either, as we discussed. What are some things you should do if you want to use a book as a business growth engine?
All right. So I'm going to answer that question this way. I was operating in a room full of high-paced, fast online marketers. And I was always talking about, we want to write a real book. We want to write a book that has your stories, it has your lessons, and that we want to craft it. And people can see you, and when they read it, they're looking like, where can I listen to this person? Where can I buy a ticket to, study with them? And one fellow looked at me and he goes, Anne, we're way too busy for that. Give us a template. Give us a template. We'll fill things in and we'll just write a book and we'll write it quickly. That's what busy people want. And I remember thinking to myself, okay, can I give you a template? Yeah, I put a book together. I've got a bunch of templates in the book. If you want a template, you say that this is what you want. Here's the template.
I got
And
you.
what
Yeah, we
you
have
are going to discover once you have your template and once you start filling things in is that you need stories with a beginning, middle, and end. You need stories that are actually unique, that are maybe a little
interesting,
polarizing.
not boring. Yeah.
Why would you be quoting the marvelous Mrs. Maisel in your business book? Where did that come from? Give us something that is relevant, because people
Yeah,
forget, we want
relevant.
to tell our stories and we want to build it out where this is my resume. I've had people I want my resume up front because they believe that the resume and their accomplishments and that is what sells. And I'm like, oh, girl, that is appendix material. If you got to have that, put it in an appendix so we don't have to be force fed your accomplishments. Or, I'm all about
5 pages
seeding.
of bio.
We want to
Boring.
seed the accomplishments. We want to seed results. We want to seed these things. So it's
Mhm.
gentle, it's effective. People don't understand how to write effective stories, how to weave in and out of concept. Templates are great, but they are not going to give you the soul. So it's choosing the
I
story.
love that.
Yeah,
To
great
the story.
stories, Sarah. You've got great stories. When you tell a story, I remember them for years.
Thank you. I've heard that one. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Inspiring Victory Show. I am Sarah Victory, and I am so glad you are a part of our tribe. It means so much to me and to the whole team who brings you this amazing content. If you are enjoying this, do us a big favor. Subscribe, watch it all the way through to the end. Tell somebody about it. They'll thank you later, I promise. And help us out with growing the channel, because it's free, but it's not free. We really need your participation in order to be able to get this kind of content out to people that desperately need it, especially now. Thank you again, and double your business, double your impact, and change the world. Now back to the show. I have a new client starting, and she saw me speak in Santa Monica 22 years ago. And she told me one of the two main stories I told that day. She knew both of them, and she told one. She remembered the whole. And I thought, I wanted to say, do you remember any of my seven secrets, any points I made? And it would be like, no, no. Stories really, 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 really stick. And that made a big difference. Yeah, we had a client and he was writing this book, and we had an amazing what I call a leader's legacy story, which is in my last book, which is, rags to riches, how she got to be credible doing what she does, because people are asking in the beginning, don't give me your resume, but tell me like the journey that it took for you to be a somebody who's credible to talk about what you're talking about, that has the experience to talk about what you're talking about, that has the passion to talk about what you're talking about, and that and has an interesting experience that I might be able to relate to. So that part was really great. And then we got into the content, and it was like, oh, wow. And her ghostwriter, we have all these great ghostwriters, and it was her ghostwriter slogging away and slogging away. And it was like watching paint dry. And we
Mm.
all knew, oh man, it was just not going well. And I finally realized that was this, she was just one of those people you could give her any business problem on the face of the earth, and she would say, oh, just do this and this and this and this, and it would be the smartest, most interesting thing you ever said. But if you just asked her, what do you believe in? What do you think's important? It was all going to be super surfacey. So we literally did something I have never, ever done before, which is we brought in a bunch of business people who'd always wanted to meet her and had them come in with their problems. And they had to say, what do you want? And what's the problem that's standing in your way? And she consulted for these people on video. We took some clips of which we're going to use probably for social media too. And she answered, and every single thing out of her mouth was absolutely stunning. So then the ghostwriter could boil all of that
Hmm.
down into these segments of her conversing as though you are the client. I'd only ever seen that one time before in a book called Find Your Own North Star by Martha Beck.
I love that book. Yep.
It's one of my favorite books on earth. But she has that format where she talks about a concept, she explains a concept, she explains some exercises you can do, and then here's me really coaching somebody with this problem. And so we started putting in some pieces like that. But that came because we looked at she's clearly a luminary. She's quite famous. She's one of the best speakers you'll ever meet. But if she tried to tone it down into a formula, it was so flat. So part of it is, what you guys have that incredible ability to do, which is pull out what is interesting and unique about this person, because there's really only one rule. Don't be boring in your book. And then beyond that, how are the things that are not boring in your book going to be a business engine for you? And I think that's where AI is great, and you could write a book in a weekend. You could get your thing, you get it to write, but it doesn't have a strategy behind it of, is this going to get you your business goals? Is this going to have the soul of something that makes the right people want to come work with you or hire you for your services or your product? And the wrong people should be running the other direction. The people that don't share your values should be running away. And that can't happen if you let AI bland out, or if you write it too fast and you make it so bland that nobody is going to get excited about that human. We buy for human reasons because we find people that match our values and whom we can admire. And you have this magical gift, well, and huge amounts of Harvard training, of being able to pull out what is really genius about a company or an individual or a luminary or a leader or a speaker. And I think it's worth taking a little extra time to do that. I once said to somebody who was like, it's taking an extra 6 months to write my book. I said, yeah, never in the history of the world did somebody say, this was the best book I ever read. It changed my life. It changed my business. I will never be the same. I cried. I laughed. I was a whole new human being. And had somebody turn to them and say, yes, but I heard it took her extra 6 months to write her book. That never happens. Take an extra few months. A few months is nothing to do something that is actually good. And that's where you come in. You force people to slow down enough or to speed up when necessary so that it's really, really, really good writing, and writing with a purpose of business growth or whatever the person's goal is. That's what I admire about you, among many, many, many other things.
I think one of the things that you do that I admire among many is I think, like me, you're very good at determining somebody's positioning. And I'm
Yeah.
always looking at what's your expert positioning story, right? There's a lot of words for that story that immediately grabs a reader or immediately grabs an audience member or immediately grabs the person that you want to influence to work with you on a deeper level or hire you or even learn from you to see you as a mentor. And when I hear your stories, you have such rich material. Like I immediately hear how your upbringing made you absolutely brilliant at pattern recognition and absolutely brilliant at getting a feel for how someone thinks or feels. And if somebody were going to give Sarah Victory's expert positioning story, they would start with she's given speeches across the world and she's done this. They would be doing resume stuff.
It's all that surfacey stuff. Yeah. And
But what's really interesting about you that makes you at your job comes from a much earlier place. It comes from a much more interesting place. And, like finding what that is takes a little bit of time for somebody. Like crafting that positioning story to me is is like so much fun. I think you are really good at it. I think I'm really good at it.
You are really, really good at it. I think it's the ability to frame the truth in the best possible light, as another wonderful guest on our show, one of my best friends since I was 18, Bill Marsili, who wrote one of the last Denzel Washington movies. And he said, it's always about framing the truth in the best possible light. And the
Mm.
people who are those light workers who can frame the truth in the best possible light, that's beyond marketing. That's a genius that people will be paying attention to 1,000 years from now. So if you want to write something, that's okay. But if you want to write something that has real value, then you need to go to somebody like Anne Sheybani. Thank you for what you said. I was very kind of you. Well, I think you're amazing. I adore you. And thank you so much for being on the Inspiring Victory Show, where we try to inspire you as much as possible if you're at home. We hope you're inspiring others as well, and also doubling your business, hopefully in 1 year or less. Thanks again, Anne, for being on the show and for providing us with so much wisdom and content and interesting things. If you'd like to reach out to Anne and you are thinking about writing a book, you would like to know about ghostwriting, you would like to know about all the different techniques that they have over at Summit and Summit Press, be able to have that business growth engine for you, all of Anne's contact information is right in the little box below what you're looking at. And it's just been so great having you here. Thank you very much for being on the show, and you're always a miracle in real life and on Zoom.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you. Thank you. And again, you go home and double your business, double your impact, change the world. Thank you so much for being part of the tribe. And remember, share this with somebody who could really use a boost. We appreciate it, and the tribe appreciates it. And my team appreciates it too. Thanks.